let me have you get that.
Oh, yes.
I did, but I forgot to check the button, so then I just did it. Cool. So do you want a 15-minute warning?
That would be great.
So then we get to 20 and then I'll give you a 20-minute warning and then can go up to 5 minutes past that.
Okay, perfect. And then you're gonna just cut us off then.
I will cut you off.
We won't run.
Yeah, okay. All right. So let's see. We're going to, I'm just gonna hide, Paulette, for this part, I'm gonna hide you for a minute, okay?
Actually, can we just adjust that so we have it where we want to have it?
Yeah, hold on a second. I guess I can't.
You can just do the one speaker.
All right.
Nope, to the left. Yep.
All right, there we go. And then you can put that where you want. And then, yeah, that's fine. All right, and before you, wait a second, go back one.
Oh, yeah, so actually, thank you.
Okay, then give me 1 second, because I just have to start recording. So,
Recording in progress.
okay, well, when you're ready, let us know.
Okay. Hello, board members and judges. This is our presentation looking at tomorrow's future of AI and hiring.
Is it
Connected?
Let's do this. Wait a second. We're gonna stop this right
All right,
now.
we have issues.
No worries. Okay.
I can just click through it on the mouse.
No. I think it might have gotten. So I'm just turning
Might have just
off
turned it
and
on.
and then. Here. Let's open this. I'm sorry. Let's see.
It's all good.
No worries.
It's the keyboard.
Yeah.
It's really not that big.
No, we should have this. This should work. It did work. Let me just see. Maybe it needs to be undone. Let's take it out. Okay. Take it out.
So how was your morning then?
Interesting.
What kind Friday.
I hope in a good way.
Yeah. At least you have a weekend to look forward to.
There we
Of
go.
course, thank you for joining us for today.
Thank
you for making the trip.
Right.
It's okay. It might have been user error. I might have been doing something wrong.
Do we want to reset the presentation? Just click out, click back in, and see if that works.
I don't.
Like stop the presentation.
We could try that.
Oh, there we go. Because it was still
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Perfect.
Because we were still in window.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
All right. There we go. So that's fine.
Okay.
Tech problem solved. Let's take a breath. I'm going to restart the clock.
Okay.
No worries.
So,
We will pay attention to that. Ready?
yes.
Okay.
Hello, board members and judges. Thank you guys for joining us today. This is our presentation looking towards tomorrow's AI and hiring. So our agenda today, we're going to talk a little bit about the ethical challenge that JP Morgan's facing. We're going to talk about AI and hiring today, and then we're going to talk about ethical and legal aspects and how we can make this a viable solution.
So, hello everyone. My name is Kathan Shaw. I'm a rising sophomore, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Hi everyone, my name is Pooja. I am from Chester, New Hampshire, and I'm going to be a rising senior.
Hi everyone, I'm Sean Rogers. I'm from New York, and I'm going to be a rising senior.
My name is Lila Webster. I'm also going to be a senior, and I'm from Charlotte, Vermont. So our overall ethical question is, how can JP Morgan find a financial, legal, and ethical balance between the hiring process and the use of artificial intelligence and facial recognition? So our ethical challenge is the complete use of artificial intelligence in the hiring process can lead to bias. And then we have a couple preliminary recommendations. So the first recommendation could be complete reliance on AI. We decided that this was the least ethical solution because it involves no humans, which can easily screen out certain groups. And then AI is only as smart as the data is given and it's programmed. And then facial recognition can also go against privacy laws, and that is the most expensive option because it does require the most amount of computer work. No reliance is completely human-based. We decided that this was a more ethical solution because humans can control themselves, and there's no facial recognition, which is good for privacy laws. But of course, there can be human bias and other issues with having a human be completely in charge. So we decided that the most ethical solution would be partial reliance. So with doing this, we would utilize AI's ability to remove emotion or preference. This saves times for recruiters and it becomes more affordable. And partial use will eliminate bias through operational data points, limits privacy breaches, and no facial recognition. And the problems of this is still the AI filters out diverse groups because if it's not given all the data. So here's a little history on JP Morgan and Chase. So JP Morgan was started by John Piermont Morgan. He was born in 1937 and he died in 1913. They focused mostly on banking and railroad investments, so that's kind of how they grew a lot of their credibility when they first started out. And they started in New York City. Chase bought JP Morgan in the early 2000s, and now JP Morgan and Chase.
So the mission statement is supporting global and local economies by delivering value for our shareholders and investing in the progress of our clients and our employees. Our firm is only as strong as the communities we serve, and we are dedicated to creating opportunities for financial growth worldwide. So some of your values are service, curiosity, heart, courage, excellence, and integrity. And we want to make sure that the solution that we provide incorporates those values. So the overview of your firm is a global financial service company that has over $2.6 trillion in assets and is represented in over 100 countries. It is the biggest bank, and you have a bunch of employees. You're involved in many industries such as real estate, retail, any financial situation, energy, power, and more. Impact on consumers. So you advertise, you do wealth advice, you invest in a sustainable future, you foster strong communities, you supply jobs and careers with necessary resources, and you invest in entrepreneurial efforts. So your headquarters are in New York City, New York, but you do have many other locations. So we want to make sure that our customers are valued in the decisions that we make. We want to make sure that our employees feel safe and at home and have many resources. We want to make sure that our investors and owners returns on their investments and create money. We want to make sure that our government and suppliers are well followed as well. So some employee demographics, there are 49% female employees worldwide, and of those, 4,294 get promotions. And then in the US, over 57% are ethnic employees, and of those, 2,862 get promotions. So with JP Morgan and AI House already being used, it is being used in over 75 positions related to AI. In the hiring process, you're using HireVue and other AI services for interviews. For example, when an applicant wants to apply to your company, they apply online where they send in your personal information and they send in a copy of your resume. Using AI to scan over the resume saves hundreds of workers' time, and it also saves you a lot of money doing redundant tasks. Also, for any new people that you hire, they will receive AI training, same with old employees, just so it is easier for everyone to take control. Another thing, just a quick mention is that you have a lot of employees. Just for your summer program, you had 4,000 spots open, but there were around 500,000 people who applied. So less than 1% of people get in. So that is a lot of resumes to scan through, and it would save you a lot of time using AI.
So quick overview of what AI is. It stands for artificial intelligence, and it simulates human intelligence. It performs tasks like speech recognition and decision making. That acts as a substitute for a human being. Large companies like yours, JP Morgan, use narrow AI to save time, to save costs, and save resources. Additionally, AI can be narrow like a virtual assistant or general like any human-like task. So what we're going to focus on is the AI impact on hiring. Its impact includes a time-saving arrangement. It overcomes different types of biases, helps understand the candidates, provides instant feedback, and provides valuable insight when hiring. So there definitely are some benefits to using AI in hiring. So an example of another company that uses AI in its hiring process is Deloitte. It is a healthcare company, and it uses AI through initial screening, the interview process, assessments and testing when applicable, pre-employment checks, an offer, and then hiring the person. So Deloitte uses AI for a lot of its hiring process, which is why we thought it was a good example to show you guys. So HireVue is the AI company that we are going to be focusing on today in relation to JP Morgan, because JP Morgan has strong ties with this company. A quote from its website, it says, "We are marking a new era in hiring that offers unparalleled insight into skills and potential, so we can put the human back in human resources." So what is HireVue? It is an interview platform that uses video and artificial intelligence to evaluate candidates through the interview process in its interviews, and aids companies in finding the best person for the position. It is involved in a wide range of industries such as financial services, hospitality, industrial manufacturing, technology, and many more. In terms of JP Morgan, that would fall under the financial services category. It'll send a list of questions from the employer, and the candidate must respond in a certain amount of time. And then HireVue's artificial intelligence then evaluates the candidate based on how it did. So some of its values of being a hero for their customers, enjoying the journey, always doing the right thing, reaching forward, and acting and go. So how does HireVue work? And some of its benefits include that it reduces interview times by 90% and costs by 50%, which is a big reason why many recruiters, many companies, many groups of HR use HireVue and these other artificial intelligence engines to help with their recruiting process. They believe in fair and transparent hiring and eliminates any bias or discrimination. However, unfortunately, the reason why we're here today is that is not the case. So overall, what we are suggesting JP Morgan to do is implement HireVue for the first round of interview questions and to screen resumes. What we want this artificial intelligence capability to do is we want artificial intelligence to perform the mundane, tedious tasks that recruiters are now having to do so that they can save time, cost, and questions and further rounds of interview questions, things that are significantly more important than just screening resumes. We suggest JP Morgan to use trained employees to do this in order to fit their employee demographic and eliminate any bias or discrimination. So some benefits of AI, a couple of statistics for you. 65% of recruiters use AI to generate job descriptions. 42% of recruiters use AI to customize job postings. 33% of recruiters use AI to screen and review applicants. And 88% of companies worldwide use AI in the HR process, which is a huge number. However, some of these companies, in this case, JP Morgan, is using this AI in our opinion, an incorrect way because of the bias and discrimination it unintentionally causes. Some other benefits are talent acquisition, like improving the ability to find high quality candidates. It saves time and increases efficiency. It reduces recruitment costs, has greater consistency, and can quickly make job matches. So some of the challenges of artificial intelligence in the hiring process is that, like we said, artificial intelligence is only as smart as the data that it's given. And so if when a human being puts in this data and accidentally underrepresents or overrepresents a certain ethnic group, a certain gender, anything like that, when AI comes across something that's different than the information that it is given, it becomes very unpredictable and you don't know what will occur. What is occurring right now is that bias and discrimination is happening in the hiring process, especially with JP Morgan, which is also not legally compliant. So this is why we're suggesting this. Additionally, it conflicts with many values of normal human beings and JP Morgan as a company, such as inclusivity, compassion, community, integrity. Additionally, it exposes privacy issues because of AI's capability to store and collect and store data, which is also not legally compliant in some cases. And lastly, facial recognition, which is another ethical issue. Some other challenges include AI errors, a lack of humanness, a risk of bias, potential compliance problems, increased costs because you have to pay for this AI engine, privacy issues, and facial recognition. In fact, over 70% of HR professionals who use AI have experienced privacy and AI trust issues, which is a big reason why we are suggesting against this.
So now we're going to move into relevant legislation that surrounds AI. So to start out, we have a few states and the European Union that have passed high-risk AI laws. These laws essentially protect people from AI that makes decisions, as in decisions around who is qualified, who isn't, if they're a good person for the job, if they're not. And we have states like Colorado and a few more that have passed bills and will be enacting AI laws in the next few years. We also have the California AI Accountability Act, which evaluates AI and determines if there's a risk of possible data leaks and private information that can be released to the public by accident, and make sure that doesn't happen. So next we have the public view of AI. So currently 62% of Americans believe that over the course of the next 20 years, AI will be affecting job holders. 28% believe that effect will be on a personal level with those job holders. Over 32% believe that AI will only stand to be a negative impact and not a positive one. However, during an interview with a Chase employee who was a branch manager and regional hiring manager of Long Island, he stated he was excited at the possibility of further AI integration, and that anything that makes the process more efficient and makes finding candidates easier, he's all for. So then we have the ethical aspects of AI. So first, we have the implications of total AI reliance. With total AI reliance, there's a high possibility of bias and discrimination if that AI is programmed improperly. This can create problems with finding proper candidates, as well as problems with legal issues, which we will further discuss. Next, we have the implications of no AI reliance. This would completely remove the possibility of any AI in the hiring process, which would remove that bias and discrimination. However, those issues still exist, as humans are still biased and discriminative, which could be even harder to detect in a case-by-case basis. Then we have some AI reliance. We believe that if used properly, some AI reliance can help prevent bias and discrimination in early interview processes, which would then allow qualified candidates have equal chances of getting a position. This is a quote from Elijah Clark about the dark side of artificial intelligence, which goes into detail in the entire article, but especially in this quote, about how AI is only as smart as data it's given, and how if that data is skewed or if there's problems with that data, you create problems with that AI. So next we have the legal aspect of AI integration. So one of the first challenges is, of course, bias and discrimination. With any use of AI, if there's any problems with the data or anything at all, then that bias can affect the people that it is making decisions about. Next, we have privacy issues. With AI, private information has to be stored in order for it to make decisions. With any form of leak or hack, that private information could then be released to the public. However, with no AI reliance, some of these issues still exist, as again, humans are still biased and discriminative, and again, some of that private information can still be used. Next, we have the financial aspect. When it comes to AI, hiring is always going to be faster and an easier process. And in a survey of HR representatives, almost 90% that the use of AI sped up the hiring process. Next, we have costs. With the implementation of AI, we see consistently lower costs per hire. Again, in the same survey, almost 80% of HR representatives said they saw about a reduction of costs by about 10%. Then we have if no AI. So to start, these are with the first two, if AI is introduced at all, whether it be full or some AI reliance. With no AI reliance, costs would only stand to increase as labor costs increase, and with an increased popularity of positions and demand of positions, with more and more applicants, it would just be more and more time on the recruiters.
Lastly, here is our recommendations recap. So let's build our wallet here, right? So our wallet represents our employee demographic. It consists of the cards, the cash, and the coins. And the goal is to be diverse and unique. Now, the credit card represents the AI in the situation. You don't want to use too much of it. Just like you want to limit your credit expenses in real life, which in this case is AI bias. Next is the cash. As a recruiter, you don't want to use too much of it either. You want to use the larger bills for greater efficiency, and you want to maximize productivity, which is using AI for tedious recruiting exercises. Lastly, you have the coins, which is the nuance and balances the gray area due to its small amount, yet very significant value. It keeps everything even to get the weird sense amounts in real life, and the nuance keeps the AI and the humans even. If we can keep all three of these in check, we can attain maximum success. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Now we are open for questions.
Look how cute he looks.
Thank you very much. It's an excellent presentation. But I do have some questions. I don't understand exactly what you're suggesting that we do. So it sounds as if you're not recommending an all-in. You're not suggesting that we abandon AI, but you're suggesting that there be some sort of a mix of human and AI. Why is that the most expensive solution? Financially, how does that help us? Because we're going to need to be looking over the shoulder of AI, is what I understand you suggesting.
So as it stands, with the amount of applicants that Chase tends to have with positions, that time and the cost of employee and the time it takes to recruit, to send out the job posting, find the qualified candidates, go over their resumes, and then finally conduct interviews, that cost is so much higher than if it were to just be left to AI to have it post those job postings and then review those resumes, and then as well as having early interview process and then leave the later interview processes for humans. That cost is lower, even considering the possibilities of having to pay for that AI up front, as well as the maintenance and checks that have to be made with it to ensure that bias and discrimination
Eliminates 50% of the applicants. How do we as a board know that AI performed that job properly?
Well,
Without any human involvement.
Well, that's where you would put reviews. You would have tests where you test the AI with certain applications. You would almost create a division to supervise that AI that, in accordance with some of the laws, which unfortunately you had a chance to touch upon, some of those high-risk AI laws require every 6 months for a bias and discrimination check. So with that, you would, our suggestion would be to create fake resumes, have it go through the AI and ensure that it is working properly as desired.
Further down along with what Sean was saying, if we don't use any implication of AI or just let AI, there could be legal cases which would cost litigation, time, money, lawyers, which would end up costing more in the long end.
So I'm not sure, so the answer to the question is it's partial reliance on artificial intelligence. That's the answer.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because I think you said that at one point, and then the rest, I was left with the same impression that perhaps you're arguing shouldn't AI involved. So the process would be new opening at the company. Job gets posted. You solicit applicants and resumes that are reviewed by artificial intelligence. They're selected. And then they're scheduled for an interview through artificial intelligence.
Yes. So,
Exactly. These mundane tasks such as screening resumes and setting up interviews can be done by artificial intelligence, but the actual conducting of the interviews can be completed by trained employees that are made for the job.
And that's going to be for all positions.
No.
Correct.
Not for all positions. For the higher positions, we recommend doing completely human, just because there are some concerns with AI and some positions that are like higher. We recommend like you do it in person because we know that not everyone who does those positions can do it. Like for example, not that you're putting anytime soon, but if the CEO were to resign, you wouldn't want an AI to take that position.
so what we're talking about with the AI is the implementation of the clerks, the loan managers, the credit managers of the particular branches, to allow those branch managers and those branch hiring managers more time to commit their time to the branch, as opposed to having to feed through thousands of applicants for one position. AI would allow them to condense that down by half, maybe even more, saving time for the branch manager and saving money for the branch and the company.
So if you have a loan officer, that you would rely on AI to select that person in.
Yes.
If you had a credit and somebody analyzing credit, you would rely on artificial intelligence to completely, just like the process we described. Post the job, select the resume, schedule the interviews, conduct the interviews, and then say, here are the candidates we think you should take it further.
Yes. And we completely wanted to not use facial recognition because that can really lead to a lot of bias, and I think that some of also in an interview question, more in-depth or like controversial questions should be asked by a human. And so then, because AI doesn't have emotion, so we thought that that would let interviewers really get a better sense of the person and really eliminate all chance for any bias or discrimination.
So
Exactly. And
you could have an applicant who's already working internally at JP Morgan, who's a loan officer. Now they want to be a credit analyst, and they have to go through that process, and there's no deference given to the fact that they're already an employee.
So with the AI, it could be allowed to give priority to that, give priority to the fact that they are part of Chase already, they already have the values, they have the experience, and that part of their resume would help elevate them to a higher level, that it would be easier for them to be a part of that position. I know personally, my mom went through the experience as a Chase employee, and for her, it was extremely easy. It was pretty difficult for her to change positions within Chase in the current process. However, we believe with this new process, it would be simpler, easy transition for current Chase employees.
Colette.
You're muted.
I love it. It's awesome. If you could go back to one of the statistics you had about the 70% statistic, I had a quick question about that.
Do you remember which
Go to
one?
here.
it's about the HR professionals experiencing AI trust issues.
That's right. Yes, that one. If I could see it one more time, please.
You might have to put it into the percent because.
It was this one,
No.
slide 40.
Was it that one or? No, it was that one. 35, but
Yes,
unfortunately.
5:35. Yes. If it could be full screen, what was it that I said?
So it was 70% of HR professionals who used AI have experienced privacy and AI trust issues.
Right. That's an interesting statistic, and I thought it was interesting in particular because I was really surprised by how high that number was. So, with that number, sorry, I'm just waiting for it.
No, fully. It's in the challenges. So one more down.
Lower down.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. Yeah, I was pretty surprised by how high that number was, which then led me to think, if it's so high, why still really considering AI to be implemented within, like if our own HR professionals were to look at this and I would see that most of them would disagree, why would I still say, let's implement AI?
Well,
Right. I see your point and it totally makes sense. However, what we are trying to suggest to JP Morgan is use these artificial intelligence engines to do many more of the black and white answers and questions and answers. Leave the gray area to the humans and let the artificial intelligence screen the resumes. Just like, do they have these requirements? I'm going to set up an interview time through our system. But the questions that we want to ask the humans should be conducted by a human, which to note is not just any ordinary human being. He is a professional who's trained to do his job the way it's supposed to be done.
When you mean the black and white, what do you mean?
I mean, like, does this person have this requirement? If he doesn't, you're out. If he does, we'll consider you. Stuff like that. We should save time and not have humans do that. Just have an artificial intelligence engine that is able to do this through its capabilities in a split second.
So if I can just add on to that, what we mean by the black and white is like level of education, years of experience, things like that. That it would be, does this candidate have that? Even if it was a human doing that application, it would be, do they have it? Yes, they go into the accepted file. No, then they're denied as they don't have the current requirements for the position.
Couldn't we then run into problems where you have a candidate who has really impressive experience that maybe they've only worked 2 years, but the job requires 5 years of experience, but the work that they've done within those 2 years is so impressive that normally it would be passed on, let's say, or let's say someone comes in with an incredible recommendation, but they don't have the level of experience that's usually required that the computer would notify as yes, they can continue. How would you go about making sure that really special people like that don't just fall through the cracks?
Kate, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. I think that's a good point. I think that obviously JP Morgan wants to hire the best employees possible. And to your point, that is very important. So maybe what we could do is we could have the artificial intelligence screen initially, like I said before, and then we could have a different engine which realizes that, like, if maybe ones that have like great recommendations or ones that have like really high accomplishments, maybe we could categorize them, and then you could screen that way as well, so that, like you said, good candidates don't fall through the cracks.
Also,
Okay,
set up a
thank you.
way that they can reach out to us if they feel like they should get a job. And then a person, like a human, could go in and see why did they not get this job and filter it that way as well.
And a public process.
Yeah. And
Yes.
appeals. What do you want us to do tomorrow? And I'm going to take this screen down so we can see that it's, get out of here for a second. So let's say that we decide to go with your plan. What are we going to do tomorrow? And what are we going to do in a month? Like, what are the next steps? Give me a little meat.
I think just starting to figure out how to program something like this. I don't have much experience with programming AI, but I think maybe finding qualified people who can program AI, and we recommend using a team of people to make sure that there isn't a lot of what we talked about with bias within AI. So starting to figure out how to approach that programming part, and starting to figure out like the logistics of how this AI is gonna work, what you're gonna do with candidates right now, see if there's people within the company already who are looking to get promotions, stuff like that, and maybe making some test resumes as well to just really make sure that AI is working.
And then by starting to implement it, we can start it in just one division. So we could do like a little test run to make sure that it works in that one division and then branch out from there so that not all parts of the company are affected by it or something.
And then to continue with your question, in a month, what we want to do is hopefully, if our solution is viable as we predict it will be, branch out to other divisions, to Pooja's point, and as well we want to really instill our process in these divisions so that we can really get it up and running as quickly as possible.
So just let me recap. It sounds to me like you're suggesting some prompt architecture, that you wanted to maybe fine tune the questions that the AI interview programs are using to make sure that you get at some of the things that we've talked about. That you kind of want to fine tune those questions. You can use it certain ways, but you want to make sure that you're building in some wiggle room.
Yeah,
And then you're thinking about doing bias audits. So that's the next thing we want to make sure. And you can use that with test resumes, but that's the next piece.
Yeah.
That you're thinking about doing this in a pilot project and then rolling it out more broadly. So it sounds like that's a 3-step kind of process. And you're integrating HireVue. Is that the suggestion?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Could you go back to slide 33? I think that's the one it was.
Let me go back to here.
I may be misreading it.
Slide 33, the benefits of AI.
No, it was, I guess it was earlier, it was how many people had gotten promotions.
Oh, yes, so the employee demographics for
Right.
JP Morgan Chase.
Right.
So what it was is that these are the,
I guess it's 20.
Yeah. no, 20.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let me ask you just a quick question. How many employees are there at JP Morgan?
So
Any idea?
So that number was included, for the vote. We decided to cut that as we didn't feel that the importance of the number, we felt that it was the distribution that was more important. If I remember, I'm not even, Duncan tried to guess, but it was part of this report. But this is the 2023 report. So 49, they were, of the employees at Chase, 49% were female and 4,294 received promotions in 2023. And for the US, 57% of employees were of ethnic backgrounds.
I'm trying to understand whether you think this is a good thing or a bad thing. But 49% globally.
Correct. And to answer your question, I believe when we were doing our research, I believe it said there are around 275,000, 300,000 employees globally. So you
there are
could
300,000. That means that 150,000 are females.
Mm-hmm.
And only 4,000 got promotions. Over what period of time?
So that was just over the 2022 to 2023 year.
And there are 57% who have an ethnicity that you're measuring for.
Mm-hmm.
And only 3,000 got promotions.
Yes.
Of 300,000
No,
employees.
so that bottom number is just for the US.
And we're also hoping that with our AI program, that when employees apply for a promotion, that we can give these people more opportunities with using this AI program.
I see. So you're not suggesting this is a good
No,
thing.
this
You're
is
suggesting-
No.
negative.
We're suggesting that this is where it's at now. With our program, we hope to make sure that it is the qualified candidates that are getting it, and theoretically, these numbers should change as the more qualified candidates, no matter who they are, no matter where they come from, they are the ones getting promotions.
No, I assume that in terms of the return on investment, that we will need fewer people in the hiring process.
Yes.
Yes. So
So how much resistance are we going to be getting from the HR professionals as we start to lay off departments?
So as it stands right now, we don't currently have a number, but for the most part, it seems that realistically the HR department could possibly expand a little bit as we introduce those AI departments to ensure the AI is working properly. And realistically, we don't see a decrease in employees, but we see an increase in time saved and money saved as you're spending less time on hiring those employees.
Exactly. We don't really want to dump the employees. We want to reuse them in a way that is more efficient. For example, we could use these recruiters to train them to program the AI engines. We could use them to perform audits, like we said. There are many other tasks that the HR employees that we would lay off, what they can actually do instead.
And I'm sorry, we are out of time. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's now take a breath. Good job.
Thank you.
Now we're going to give you just we have a little quick feedback. So again, let me take you out of this, and we're going to start with Paulette. Paulette, go ahead.
Oh my gosh, where to start? You guys did a very good job. I think the presentation all in all was really well set up. Your storytelling was very well done. Your performance in general in presenting was really confident, which was great. The only thing is that you had a really good storytelling going. However, which I loved your tracker. When you have a lot of little sections broken out, it can feel to the audience that it's like, okay, you're going faster than you normally would, but it feels more like you're skipping really, really quickly without really going into detail, which isn't necessarily what you're doing. And I don't think that it wasn't perceived that way through me, but for the future reference, when you have a really big agenda like that, let's say 12, try to shrink it down a little bit to where you can kind of categorize it a little more. So it's instead of 12, it's 6, just so it's visually more digestible for an audience. Okay. Be careful when contradicting answers during a presentation. It happens, especially when you're trying to navigate one person being online, when other people being in person. If that ever happens, because it really doesn't, it's okay. Try whoever it is that ends up taking the question, try to cover for your other teammate. So for example, if someone had said no, and then you go in and say yes, but no, try and say, my teammate here was mentioning that no for this specific perspective. For the yes, for the different aspect, it would be like this from my opinion. So it kind of at least helps save them and helps save the perception of your credibility. Now, as I mentioned, great touch for your consulting logo. I noticed that at the very beginning. Great small touch. It's great that you mentioned the mission statement. I think something that Professor Martin and everybody else was kind of bringing up was that you would bring up, especially in your preliminary recommendations, your 3 options, which is good, because you're kind of saying, okay, these are the different options you have available to you, and then you lead on to say, this is our answer to you. Make sure if you're going to do that, to prep your audience, because at first, when you first started, I thought you were saying, oh, we're going to go with all in AI. And then when you showed the second option, that's when I realized you were giving me options. But make sure you prep your audience and say, I'm going to go through all the different options you have. Option 1, option 2, option 3. We recommend you go with option 3. That way, the other person kind of has time to kind of see what it is you're trying to do. Whether it's you say it verbally, or you say it verbally and you show it as on your screen as different options. We're going to go with option blah, blah, blah. With that said,
I'm going to have to cut you off because
that's okay, go ahead.
I want to make sure that we just have a quick.
I thought you were great. I thought you were very, very good. I did also have this confusion about which I'm going to recommend. And it might have been helpful at the beginning to say, this is where we're going to end. And then the only other thing is that you were so eager to answer my questions that you didn't let me ask the question. You assumed what my question would be, and then you answered that question. So you need to watch for that. You need to not cut off the questioner.
Yeah, so I thought you did a great job too. I mean, there was a lot there. When I saw the agenda, I was like, wow, we're gonna really hear all about this. Sometimes I am the kind of person that less is more. But I think you touched on all the things. I love the way that you talked about the ethical challenges. You brought that up, right? You talked about the values of the company. You talked about our stakeholders, and all those things were just, they're very important. I was lost too when the recommendation was. I thought I had it, and then as the presentation went on, I had a thing that misheard it, or I wrote it down and put a big star next to it. But I mean, I think overall it was very, very good. There was a lot there, and you really did use all of it. You didn't sound like you put it up there and you weren't just reading what was on the screen all the time. And really talked about it, loved it.
So I did very well researched. I thought that you were all strong presenters, so you had a lot of confidence. You were able to communicate with us really effectively. I think that was great. I loved when you talked about the values of the company and how you all were trying to help them move those values forward in their recommendations. So I think the story was really good. The research was excellent. The information, the ethical analysis, some real strengths. And I think you heard the weakness was that you didn't have, I was not clear about specific, like it sounds like you had them in your head, but you did not articulate them on a slide. You didn't say, this is exactly what we want you to do, right?
Right.
So I think but again, we can get the sense of what you want to, like, we get it. Like you want to have AI with controls, and we had a little bit more of the questions, you fleshed that out much better. But just kind of keep in mind that I think if you had been more detailed in those recommendation slides, that would have been a really strong ending. But this was a fabulous presentation. Really nice story, very nicely done. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I won't see you,
Won't see me.
but I'll see the rest of you back. So if you can do the class evaluation before too much time passes, that would be great. I'm gonna give you a hug before you
Thank
go.
you so much for having us. It was so great to meet you. I really enjoyed this class.
That was a lot of fun,
Yes, I had a great time.
but I will see you guys back. So no worries. All right. We'll see you.
Thanks, Lala.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, picture.
Oh, I have my backpack on.
That's perfect.
Oh wait, we want to put your slide up. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Put your slide up. Here.
Do you want to do the first slide or the last slide?
You do the first slide, so it's going to go up. We'll go to the first slide. We will go to slideshow. All right.
Okay.
We gotta go
Everyone, how do we get him to come back? We might not be able to do both things, so we'll go to that.
Just
and
got
then there we go.
and then just do the minimize.
So we go to here. Oops, that's maximized. There we go. Actually, that's fine. We're gonna move him over and then you can see your slide. That's fine. We'll go like this. Like this.
I think if you push view.
Yeah, let's see. Let's go to from the beginning. No, let's see. I'm just gonna move this over. There we go. All right, we'll put this like this.
Oh boy.
Do you want to just do like side by side?
This is good. This is good. We got the gist. We got the
Okay.
gist.
So we're gonna get together. All right. I'm gonna take a couple. All right, lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed this. It was great to meet
We'll see
you.
you shortly.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, John. Thank you, Pooja.
Hi guys, good job.
Thank you, Miss Merton. It was a wonderful 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
I had a great time. You did a great job. Congratulations. Really nice.
Thank you.
work. And so we'll be in touch. Right? Let me know
Yes,
if
for
you
sure.
get the letter, and we'll be doing some comments for you guys. Okay.
For sure. Should I get back here at 3?
Back here at 3.
Okay.
Step 3, okay?
All right. Thank you so much.
Stop recording for a second.
Recording stopped.